You come home and the world is still heavy on your shoulders. The day didn't go the way you planned. The conversation sits wrong in your chest. You're tired in a way that sleep doesn't repair. And then you open the door. Before you can put your bag down, there's a body pressed against your legs, a tail wagging so fast it blurs, eyes looking at you like you solved every problem in the universe just by existing. You didn't do anything extraordinary. You simply came home. But to your dog, you are everything. And for a moment, the weight lifts. Not because the problems disappeared, but because something in you remembers what it feels like to be wanted without conditions, seen without judgment, to be enough, just like this. This isn't about pets, not about companionship in the usual way. This is about something older, something programmed into your system before you had words for it. This is about regulation and the quiet truth that some people need a kind of love that doesn't ask them to explain themselves. This is where the story begins. People will tell you it's just a dog. You're too attached. You treat her like a child. It's unhealthy to care this much about an animal. They make jokes. Crazy dog person. Dog mom. You love this dog more than people. Maybe you laugh along, but underneath, there's a sting. Because what they're really saying is, your love is misdirected. Your priorities are wrong. You're compensating for something missing. They see devotion and call it excessive. They see attachment and call it codependent. But here's what they don't see. This isn't avoidance. This is regulation, not compensation. Completion. For some people, the world is so loud, so demanding, so full of unspoken rules, that the only place they can fully exhale is in the presence of something that asks for nothing except presence. What looks like obsession is often relief. What looks like over-attachment is a body finally finding a rhythm it can trust. This isn't about loving dogs more than people. It's about loving dogs because they let you be a version of yourself that people rarely see. Let's talk about what's actually happening in your body. Your system has two modes: sympathetic, alarmed, scanning, ready. Parasympathetic, rest, digestion, repair. Most people who deeply love dogs spend a lot of time in the first mode, not from clinical anxiety, but because the world demands constant vigilance. You read faces, interpret tone, calculate whether you said the right thing, whether you were too much or not enough. It's exhausting. And then you sit with a dog. Something shifts. Your breathing slows. Shoulders drop. The tightness in your chest releases. That's not magic. That's biology. When you touch a dog, your body releases oxytocin, the hormone that bonds mothers to infants, the hormone that signals, you are safe here. Your cortisol drops. Your heart rate stabilizes. Your heart rate variability rises. A sign your parasympathetic system is coming online. Your body gets permission to stop scanning for threats. Because a dog has no hidden agenda, no need for performance, no concern about whether you're articulate or successful or socially graceful. A dog only needs you to be there. And for someone whose system learned to stay on high alert, that simplicity is medicine. This isn't about choosing animals over people. It's about needing a space where your body can rest without having to earn it. Human relationships are complicated. People say one thing and mean another. Close one day, distant the next. They love you, but they need space. They want honesty, but not too much. If you grew up where love was conditional, where affection was unpredictable, where you had to guess which version of a person you'd get. You learned early. Attachment is dangerous. Closeness comes with risk. You read the room before you enter it. Measure words before you speak them. Make yourself small enough to fit, that learning doesn't disappear. But a dog doesn't do that. A dog's love isn't conditional, not complicated, not withheld when expectations aren't met. No silence is punishment. No affection withdrawn as a lesson. No question of whether you were too much or not enough. A dog simply loves you. And for someone who spent years decoding love, that clarity is profound. This isn't about avoiding complexity. It's about finally experiencing attachment without ambiguity. Learning what it feels like to be loved without having to earn it, defend it, or apologize for needing it. There's a version of you most people don't see. The one that's gentle, playful, unarmored. Not because you hide it, but because the world doesn't always feel safe enough to let it out. You learned softness can be mistaken for weakness, playfulness for immaturity, being unguarded for naivety. So you adapt. You become competent, reliable, self-sufficient, strong, the person people can count on, the one who doesn't need much, the one who handles things. It works. It gets you through. But it also means you carry a version of yourself that never gets to rest until you're with a dog. Because a dog doesn't need you to be strong, doesn't need you to have it all together, only needs you to be present. And in that presence, something softens. You speak in a voice you never use anywhere else. You get down on the floor. You laugh at nothing. You allow yourself to be silly and tender and completely unguarded. Not because the dog demands it, because the dog permits it. This is what regulation looks like. Not the absence of emotion, the presence of safety. For people who love dogs, this isn't indulgence. It's survival. The one place they don't have to be the version the world demands. Human relationships run on an invisible ledger. You give, they give. You support, they support. When the ledger feels unbalanced, tension builds. The feeling of giving more than you receive, or the opposite, the quiet guilt of needing too much, the quiet resentment of not being met. If you grew up feeling like a burden, like your needs were too much, like love was something to be earned through usefulness, that ledger becomes a source of shame. You start monitoring yourself, rationing your needs, making sure you don't ask for too much, too often, in the wrong way. But with a dog, there is no ledger. You feed them, walk them, care for them. They give you presents, loyalty, unconditional appreciation, no guilt, no accounting, no sense of taking more than you give or giving more than you receive. Reciprocity without obligation. And for someone who spent their life balancing an invisible scale, that freedom is everything. This isn't about avoiding responsibility. It's about finally experiencing a relationship where your worth isn't measured by what you provide. But here's the part no one talks about: the shame. Even if you feel this bond, even if you know how much it matters, there's a voice that whispers, this shouldn't be enough for you. You should want more human connection. You should be less dependent on an animal. You should be able to regulate yourself without needing this. And when people joke, when they roll their eyes, when they say, it's just a dog, that voice gets louder. You start wondering if they're right, if maybe you're broken, if maybe you're avoiding something, if this love is a sign that you failed at something more important. So you hide it. You downplay how much they mean to you. You laugh along when people tease. You don't talk about the grief you would feel if you lost them, because you know it would sound disproportionate. You carry this love like a secret, not because it's wrong, but because the world taught you that needing this much from a dog must mean something is missing in you. This shame has a history. It didn't begin yesterday. It began the first time you learned that your needs were too much. Maybe you were the child who was too sensitive, who felt too deeply, who needed comfort when other kids just kept going. Maybe you learned that needs are burdens, that dependence is weakness, that the safest version of you is the one who doesn't need anything. And now, as an adult, when you notice that you need this dog in a way that feels deep and necessary, the old wiring activates. You are that child again, the one who needs too much. And shame does what shame always does. It isolates you. You stop talking about it. You stop posting photos. You stop making jokes about your dog obsession because you don't want people looking too closely. You see other people with their full social calendars, their friend groups, their seemingly effortless human connections. And you compare. They have normal relationships. You have a dog. They go out. You go home. They post about dinner parties. You post about walks in the park. And in that comparison, a quiet question starts to grow. Am I behind? Did I miss something everyone else understood? Is the thing that saves me also the thing that keeps me small? And underneath, deeper than the shame, there's a grief that rarely gets a name. You grieve the version of yourself who wouldn't need this, the version who could move through people effortlessly, who wouldn't need 3 days to recover after every social event, who wouldn't come home and think, finally, I can breathe. You grieve the person you might have been if the world had felt different, if connection hadn't been so exhausting, if trust hadn't been so risky, if love hadn't been so complicated. But here's the truth. No one tells you. There is nothing wrong with you. You are not broken because you find peace in the presence of a creature who doesn't speak your language. Not defective because your body calms with them in a way it doesn't with people. You're not avoiding life. You're surviving it. And the bond you have with this animal is not a substitute for human connection. It's a foundation. The place where you learned or relearned that love doesn't have to hurt. That presence doesn't have to be earned. That you can be wanted without proving your worth. That's not a defect. That's adaptation. And it kept you alive. But here's something no one likes to say out loud. This safe base is finite. A dog lives 10 years, maybe 12. If you're lucky, 15. And if the only place you can fully exhale is tied to a being who won't stay forever, that's not just sad. It's dangerous. Not because the love is wrong, but because it's too narrow. If your entire capacity for regulation, your entire access to safety, your entire experience of unconditional acceptance lives in a single body, what happens when that body is gone? That's not a theoretical question. Anyone who has loved a dog knows that day comes. And when it comes, it's not just your heart that breaks. Your entire regulation system collapses because you're not just losing a pet. You're losing the only place you felt safe. This is where integration shifts from a nice idea to a necessity. Not because you should love your dog less, but because you need more safe places. More relationships that can hold you. More spaces where you can exhale. More people who see you without needing you to explain yourself. This isn't against dogs. It's for life. It's the recognition that a safe base, as beautiful as it is, was never meant to be the only one. Attachment theory calls it a secure base, a place of safety from which exploration becomes possible. But the key is from which. A secure base isn't an endpoint, it's a starting point. Your dog showed you what safety feels like, what unconditional acceptance feels like, what presence without performance feels like. That's the gift. But the gift was never meant to keep you in one place. It was meant to show you what to look for when you're ready to move outward again. So what do you do with this? You don't have to change it, fix it, justify it to anyone. But you can begin to notice what this bond has taught you. Notice how your body feels when you're with them, how your breathing shifts, how your shoulders drop, how the noise in your head quiets. That's information. That's your body showing you what regulation feels like. And once you know what regulation feels like, you can begin to look for it in other places, not to replace the bond, to expand it. You can begin to ask, what if I could bring some of this softness into my human relationships? Not all of it, not immediately, but some. What if I let someone see the version of me my dog sees? The version who doesn't have to be perfect, who doesn't have to be strong, who is allowed to simply be. You don't have to do it perfectly. You don't have to do it quickly, but you can begin to practice. Healing doesn't begin with grand gestures. It begins with micro asks, small, safe experiments in vulnerability. You ask someone for help with something small, not life-changing, something simple. Can you help me carry this? Can I get your opinion on this? Do you have a moment to talk? And you watch what happens. Not everyone will be safe. Not everyone will deserve to see more, but some will. You'll notice the people who don't need you to explain yourself, who let you be quiet without filling the silence with questions, who don't try to fix you when you share something heavy. Those are the people you can practice with. You can start setting boundaries that protect your capacity, saying no to things that drain you, to invitations that feel like obligations, to relationships that take more than they give. And you can begin to notice what co-regulation with humans feels like. It doesn't feel exactly like it does with a dog. It's more complex, more unpredictable. But with the right person, there are moments when your body settles in a similar way, when presence is enough, when you don't have to perform, when you can simply be. That's what you're looking for. Not perfection. Moments. Small pockets of safety that feel real. And as you do this, while you slowly begin to expand your world, there's something important that needs to be said. You can keep loving your dog. You don't have to give up this bond in order to grow. You don't have to apologize for the depth of what you feel. Because this love isn't the problem. It's proof that you know how to love deeply, how to be loyal, how to show up even when it's hard. The world needs more of that, not less. What needs to change isn't the love, it's the narrowness, the idea that there can only be one place where you're safe. Your dog showed you that safety is possible. Now the invitation is to find more places where that can be true. Not because your dog isn't enough, but because you deserve more than a single source of safety. You deserve a life where regulation doesn't depend on one heartbeat, where love isn't that fragile, where you can breathe even when they're not in the room. If this resonated with you, you're not alone. There are so many of us who find peace in the presence of a creature that asks for nothing but our presence. And there is no shame in that. If you want to explore these ideas further, if you want to understand more about why you are the way you are, consider subscribing. This channel is for people who think deeply, who feel deeply, who have spent their lives wondering if something is wrong with them. Spoiler: nothing is. You're wired differently, and that wiring kept you safe. Leave a comment if you'd like. Share what your dog has taught you, or don't. Either way, you're welcome. And to the dogs who loved us when we couldn't love ourselves, who stayed when everyone else left, who didn't ask why we are the way we are, but simply sat beside us until we could breathe again, who showed us that love doesn't have to be complicated, that presence is enough, that we are worth coming home to. Thank you. You didn't just keep us company. You showed us what safety feels like, and that kept us alive.